really interesting eclipse day where we're starting to feel a little bit of elevation from the heaviness of the energies of the last 2 months, and a very interesting journey that we're going to take today through the gateways within our own bodies. It's going to be, I'm deviating a little bit from the standard process, so let's just see where this goes. I think it's going to be interesting. So I just love this image because it really is. We're going through this eclipse season that starts today. So this is the first partial lunar eclipse. And we have 2 more that take us up to the end of August. And it is said that we will really begin to feel and experience these surges forward from the end of August, beginning of September. So it's a case of not giving up. These energies are challenging us to become more than we have been in all areas of our lives. And that's where this is really kind of, as I say, stepping out of the box a little bit with what I'm going to share with you, some of the stuff today. So it's not only that through the challenges we have to keep on going. It's not a time to lay low and go, I'm just going to ride out the storm. You know, it's kind of like facing into the storm and walking through it. So it might feel a bit like wading through treacle at times. We just have to keep on going. Oh, that's interesting. Elaine says, interesting images. I came across an old photo of a white peacock with its feathers full open mode. Yeah, beautiful, and eyes that can see. I love that analogy with the peacock with all of the eyes in the feathers, because it's the eyes that can see in all directions, really expanding our vision of what is possible, and knowing that through this time that there is a huge amount of support and that transformation is not just probable, it is inevitable. White Star says, feels like a time for us to walk our talk with respect to sacred activism. That too, absolutely, White Star. Holding our space and acknowledging and defending the beings of the planet in all ways. So it's interesting the level at which we're working today too with some of the beings, if you like, that we're going to be working with. So one of the things that Kaipacha says about this time, because I don't have a lot on the astrology in the slides because I'm focusing on the microbiome, which I'd mentioned on the initial sign-up page. Oh, Elaine says, yeah, that light looks like the white peacock. Oh, well spotted, Elaine. I actually didn't see that analogy. The bright light through the gateways in the picture. Lovely metaphor and lovely connection with through the gateways. And I love this. Sorry, if I can just go back, the symbolism in here is obviously the dark and the light merged and held in perfect balance and harmony. That's the middle way that I spoke about in the newsletter. It's mastering the middle. So that's really what we're doing as we hold everything in dynamic equilibrium. It's not static balance that doesn't move. It's a dynamic equilibrium that oscillates between the poles and recognizes them all, but enables us to hold the center. So yeah, thank you for highlighting that. It just got us into a little bit more of the symbolism and analogies for the energies of the moment. So just to share with you, Kaipacha also says that our destinies are being shifted and molded by universal and spiritual energies beyond our control. So this is happening. It's huge. It is cosmic. It's universal. We're going through the eye of the needle or the birth canal through this eclipse season. So we're going through a massive and very deep rebirthing process. We will likely experience new impulses and be drawn to exploring, moving into new things. So really just be aware of what captures your attention, what captures your imagination, where your inspiration wants to take you. Hi, Cynthia. Lovely to see you. Things will move forward and feel a lot more settled from September, but between now and then, it's likely that we will have sudden and unpredictable events where things almost seem as if they're conspiring to move us in a different direction. It's kind of like we think we've got everything sorted, and wham, something happens to actually move us in a completely different area of focus, or to change our view, change our perspective. So he also says that building a bridge between worlds, which is what we do, what we are doing, of here and now and beyond, so all worlds, all polarities, is not to disappear into cosmic light or get trapped in the dark underground. And that's that mastering the middle quote. And that was Kaipacha's contribution, his wonderful affirmation that just marries the whole concept of the energies that we're working with at the moment. And that was just 2 days ago, and I thought, how appropriate and how amazing. And that's wonderful from Elaine, as she said, the rebirth and the essential rebirth spray has been invaluable. Yeah, the rebirth essence, the resurrection essence, and the rebirth spray. I think I need to put that out again, because it does provide a lot of support. It's like, it literally is like being energetically held through the process. So I think I just need to remind people that there is another level of support that can assist through this time. So yes, very, very interesting astrological universal energies moving us through this eclipse passage. We've got the Lion's Gate next month. We've got the Day Out of Time at the end of the month. We have some pretty amazing energetic choice points between now and the end of August. So Elaine, thank you for that. Elaine says it literally perks me up and calms at the same time. That's so beautiful to hear, because that is exactly what it was formulated to be, as an energetic pick-me-up and a soother through some of the more intense times of the rebirthing process. So it's lovely to hear that in your words, Elaine. Thank you. So that is, if any of you are interested, it is the Diamond Light spray that is called Rebirth, partnered with the Resurrection Essence, which is the yew tree from the ancient yew tree essence. The ancient yew tree in the UK, the suspected oldest living organism in Europe. It's suspected to be of the order between 3,000 and 4,000 years old. So really, really quite amazing. And the yew tree is known as the resurrection tree, the symbol of resurrection, because it keeps rebirthing itself. So very, very interesting analogies there. Anyway, that's a little bit that's offered. So while that gateway is open, I want to share with you the card that I drew as guidance for today. And the card is from a wonderful deck that I've actually was gifted by a friend here in the UK, and it's called Work Your Light by Rebecca Campbell. Beautiful cards. They certainly have a powerful energy. I'm loving working with them. And the card that I drew is called Imrama, and I just love that word anyway. But the description of it is, where are you being called to journey to? And I thought, how appropriate, given that I'd selected the gates and we're talking about the gateways and some really interesting stuff. So Imrama. The Celtic word Imrama means a journey of the soul. A voyage on which we don't know where we are going, but our soul knows the way. If you pulled this card, you are either being called on a soul journey or you are already on one. It could be to a physical ancient place, or it could be metaphoric. When we journey to places that our soul remembers, a shift takes place, both within us and to the planet as well. You are being called to journey to a place that is sacred to your soul. Perhaps it is to journey to the world's sacred sites, or called to cross the country, climb a mountain, lie on the desert floor, or drink from an ancient well. There are places to see and old friends to meet. I see spontaneous pilgrimages in your future. If a physical voyage isn't possible, journey through the portal of your heart. Follow the invisible soul trail and be willing to explore. Maybe read a book or watch a movie about sacred time or place. Or perhaps you're being called to study an ancient lineage or body of work. Whatever your circumstances, your soul is ready to journey deep. So interesting that that was the guidance card that came up as we enter into this passageway through the eclipses. So yes, very, very powerful. What I'd like you to do is there's an affirmation that goes with this card. So I'd like you to just place your hand over your heart for a moment and just close your eyes. And I'm going to read the affirmation to you. I'd like you to internalize it. May seeds of light long ago planted begin to rise. I am ready to remember ancient secrets from lands that my soul knows from times past. May I be held by the ancient lineages that my soul has served and remember that I don't have to do it all alone. So just speak those words into your heart. Allow your body to internalize them. And to me, that is the perfect start and the perfect affirmation for the start of our journey today. And Elaine says, wow, isn't that beautiful? Amazing guidance. Just absolutely spot on. So I I just say thank you. So I have to listen to the rest of the guidance, which means I'm breaking the mold and stepping out of my comfort zone with another one of the inputs for today. So isn't it just so perfect? Okay, so let's just have a look at our Tolkien signature for today. So it's also very appropriate. Here you can see we have just come through. We've just dropped out of this 10-day gap day column. So we've had 10 consecutive gap days, which means we've been through a very intense time. We've just dropped out of it straight into the eclipse. So this passageway is almost pushing us. It's like one of those moments in giving birth, I guess, where we've been pushed into another stage of the birthing process. So we've just dropped out of that into the eclipse. I mean, what timing is that? So that's where we are at. It's not a gap day today, but it's a hugely significant day. And I think that's why we're feeling a little bit lighter today after the intensity of these gap days. So the signature for the moment, it's Kin 156, which is the yellow cosmic warrior. And I quite enjoyed this because my signature, my galactic birthday signature is the yellow resonant warrior. So this warrior card is it's my resonant affiliation. And I really have a strong resonance with it. And I do ask a lot of questions, and that's one of the essences of the warrior. So here we have affirmation. I endure in order to question. Transcending fearlessness. So here we come back to the warriors of grace. Transcending fearlessness, I seal the output of intelligence with the cosmic tone of presence. I am guided by the power of universal fire. And I think it's that fire that's helping to keep us moving forward at the moment. And we're talking about the output of intelligence. That's not intelligence as we would traditionally know it. It has nothing to do with the human understanding of intelligence. It really is about connection with the cosmic mind and a much broader, more expansive context and respect of intelligence. It's cosmic intelligence. I am Kib, the warrior. I am your inner knowledge and wisdom, and that is cosmic, ancestral, universal. I take you to the other side with gracious strength. Here we've got that grace again. So the other side, through that gateway. The power of warrior is obtaining intelligence by asking questions. Warrior is fearless and immovable, and that is the fearlessness and the stability of our core as we experience the dynamic equilibrium moving around us between those different poles. She, he does not settle for half answers. She knows how to continue getting answers. And I just smile at that because I kind of think, yep, well, I kind of do that all the time. I'm going, okay, so help me to understand what, why, when. Warriors are willing to fight for keeping or extending the vision they obtained. Be like a warrior, step forward in difficult situations and defend your own truth. And that comes back to what you were saying, White Star, where you were saying it feels as if this is a time as well to step into and honor our impulses in respect of sacred activism. So very appropriate. It's like we're connecting in with this signature all in very appropriate and different ways. Elaine says, like a fire that burns away the old in front of us and allows us to plant our new seeds that will thrive in the new growth. Yes, absolutely. And sometimes fire is necessary as well in order to burn the outer shell of the seeds, to allow for those seeds to germinate and for that new growth. Certainly in Africa, that is the case. And it's amazing, amazing to actually see, because they do have what we call massive felt fires, where the fires actually sweep across the felt, and it can appear and feel and seem rather devastating in the face of that fire. But once the fires have actually burned through the felt and you get the first rain, the new growth appears within 2 days. It's just the most amazing thing to witness. So yes, that fire and the heat of that fire is burning away the hard shell of the seeds. And if we go back, I don't know if it was last month or the one before, where we specifically worked with those new seeds that we were receiving into our being. So for me, these alignments in respect of the process is just such a beautiful continuity. Because that's what's happening inside of us as we allow those new seeds to germinate and to emerge within us. White Star says same occurs with pine cones in North America forest fires. Yeah, absolutely. That fire is necessary. So absolutely beautiful. Very, very powerful time. And this is the cosmic question mark. So that's the trademark of the warrior. It's the asking questions. And it's also being comfortable with the mysteries of the cosmos. We can't know everything, but the more we ask the questions, the more we actually are able to begin to tap into greater volumes and more expansive awarenesses that arise from within us. The cosmic question mark. So today, these days, are great for contemplating your existence here on Earth. What did you come here to achieve? What is your quest? We all have a mission to fulfill, and today is a perfect day for finding your own mission. Or if you're lucky enough to know what it is, today is a good day to do something about it and to extend it just that little bit further. Imagine that you're a warrior with a sword that is a symbol of your will. Draw out your sword and wield your will. Warriors on the peace path, use your mind as a weapon with discipline and awareness. So this use your mind as a weapon, if you like, it's in inverted commas, because it's the ability to use our mind to seek out those parts of ourselves that require destroying in order to make way for the new growth, for that fertile soil to give birth to the new. So very interesting and very deep concepts and thoughts with this. The guidance is to focus on your inner voice as you walk the path of the cosmic question mark. Always trust that inner voice. Advance towards your fears and be the warrior of grace. Here we go. It's come up again, that beautiful warrior of grace. So you are all absolutely warriors of grace. So there's the energy signature of the moment. Oh, that's lovely. Jan says, I'm loving the warrior focus. My alter self is Astrid the warrior. That's really beautiful, Jan. Thank you for sharing. Yes, absolutely. Group of fearless, energetic warriors holding the course. That's just so perfect. Thank you for sharing that. So there we have the energies of the moment. So now I want to go into expanding our understanding of ourselves in a very different way. Because one of the other themes that keeps coming through in so many ways at the moment, and it keeps hitting me, is this whole idea of cohesive community, cohesion, harmonizing community. There is this rebuilding community, co-creation within community, and this is a theme that's kind of been carried forward for quite a number of months now. And then I came upon this concept of the human microbiome and realized something. It started me questioning again. You know, as always, it's the questioning that guides me down different paths and really opens up some interesting doorways and some more questions. So cohesion of community, this grander theme that sort of underlies this process, this passage at the moment, and considering the human microbiome as our inner community. And the more I looked at this, Elaine says, I strongly feel the group Diamond Grid footprints. Oh, that's beautiful, Elaine. Thank you. Lovely to share that. Yes, there's always a fantastic diamond connection within this group. So I love this image. It's kind of like overlaid with the galaxies and with stardust, because ultimately we are seeded with components that were birthed in stars. All of the elements were birthed in stars, but so were, along with sort of these theories of panspermia, all of the microbes that are part and parcel of our community on Earth, and they have been found on comets and asteroids. And microbes form a huge role in respect of the maintenance and harmonization of our internal community. And we never really give any thought to this. How many of you have ever really thought about this as being your internal community? Being a part of who you are. We hear about the microbes in the gut. You know, we all know that we need those good bacteria and good flora in our gut to aid digestion. But our human microbiome is so much bigger and more expansive than we have maybe been aware. So this got me on a little bit of a quest. So I'd like to share some of what I have come up with you, because it puts our perception of ourselves into a whole different context. Is that our specific human genome, if one looks at the human cells in our body, our genome has a known community of 26,000 human genes, which surprised those that were investigating the genome when they realized that we actually had fewer genes than a rice plant. I love that. White Stars just said, the human microbiome sustains on its negotiated self-interest among all of the parts of the whole. Absolutely. As in all aspects of ourself. Okay, so we know that the human genes anyway are capable, they're not fixed in their expression, that a single gene is actually quite mobile, that it can restructure its components to make a number of different proteins. So it's not fixed in respect of what each gene can actually do. So you could actually say that the ultimate effect of our 26,000 genes in respect of what they do is probably the equivalent of, you know, sort of 50,000 genes at least. However, just to put it into scales of comparison, human genes, 46,000 genes in a rice plant, but 100,000 genes in the human microbiome. Now, the human microbiome is more extensive than really just gut bacteria. It includes skin mites. It includes the bacteria that exist in our lungs, on our skin, in all areas of our body. They are co-creators of our human existence. Our ability to experience this life through a human body is due largely in part to the contributions of the microbiome. So yeah, let's take a look a bit further. Elaine says, yes, good to think of these micro entities as co-creators and friends. Yes. Love the picture with the woman's brain. Absolutely. And then Katie said, yes, been feeling these switches inside. Absolutely. So we know, can a basic understanding, so here's a question, can a basic understanding of the human microbiome change the way we think of ourselves and provide substantial food for thought as we reflect on who and what we are as a species, as well as our evolution? We've worked so much, and certainly in the New Age community, there's been a lot of work on DNA activation, activating, upgrading our DNA, activating the human DNA. We talk about the crystalline DNA. There's all sorts of things being spoken about, but very, very little focus has been placed on supporting and assisting the evolution of our microbiome in order to continue supporting us in efficient ways as a living community as we evolve through this physical form. And let's face it, what's actually been happening from an environmental perspective, an environmental point of view, is that our microbiome and the diversity of that has actually largely been diminished and destroyed because of a number of factors with the way that we are living. And this is largely responsible for a lot of the ailments and diseases that are plaguing humanity. So the question that I had raised for me when I actually looked at this and started exploring was, is our microbiome evolving at the same rate, or have we ignored them in respect of being a vital component and aspect of our co-creation? Also, what is our general thought around microbes and the microbial world? Because we have been so heavily programmed to understand microbes and all of those things that we cannot see as being germs that are bad for us. That was inculcated and programmed into our being as children. We use, sort of antimicrobial products. We use the bleaches and the Dettols and the this and all sorts of products in respect of killing germs. Wash your hands, kill the germs. Don't touch the handles in toilets, kill the germs. And it can generate or create an internal energetic pattern of conflict that can impact as well the health and the well-being of our own internal biome from an energetic perspective. So it's not just an environmental toxic influence that is reducing the impact of our microbiome, it's also the energetics. So it's really, what are your views? You hear about viruses, you hear about, sort of life-threatening bacteria and viruses. What happens with you in your mind when you are faced with, sort of these fears of epidemics, of colds, of the latest flu and getting flu jabs and all of that stuff? Conflict. Yeah, conflict is a perfect word. Hate those hand sanitizers. Yeah, I don't use them. But very interesting. So we know that we are made of bones, blood, cells, muscle, etc., and we tend to think that these are what make us human. However, we often overlook the microbiome. This is naturally occurring community of microorganisms in our body, including diverse viruses and fungi and protozoa that outnumber human cells almost 2 to 1. This thriving community of microbes in our body is working in harmony with our human cells to create life as we know it. Now, that number is actually quite staggering. It means that at least 2/3 of our body. Katie, that's absolutely it. Those thoughts of conflict and what we've been programmed with. So we're going to have a look at some of that internal programming today. Puts our systems in defense mode without realizing it. So it's one area of conflict that perhaps we haven't looked at or addressed in respect of making our internal community coherent. So we've been acting against our bodies in ways that we haven't perhaps been cognizant of, rather than giving, as Katie says, rather than giving full energy to what we are for. Absolutely. So we're a walking, living, symbiotic community, each negotiating self-interest, as White Star put it earlier. So our human cells and the microbial cells are engaged in a constant negotiation for their well-being. And if we have got any sort of residues of this belief around conflict and germs that is lingering within our energy system, then we're going to impact those negotiations, put it that way. So let's have a look at some more information and how this actually functions for our health and what this microbiome does. Very, very interesting stuff. So it's critical. These bugs are critical for our health and well-being. Elaine says, a holistic doctor in the early 1980s viewed getting someone's germs as a matter of, it's not my flu virus, etc. Just don't own the thought that you are susceptible to disease. Yeah, absolutely. White Star says, there's that middle road again, the negotiated self-interest. Yes, absolutely. It's almost as if our higher essence, our presence, becomes the arbitrator of those negotiations between the human cells and the bacterial cells. So there's another really lovely way of viewing it and looking at all of this. So that's where we're actually going to go today, and holding the middle road, holding that presence. Yes, sounds like healthy competition also. Competition is not really a word, because competition implies almost vying for resources, whereas this is, it's a symbiotic relationship where the resources that are needed for both parties are all there, as long as one is not over dominating. Yes, symbiotic healthy goals is not dominating the other. So our higher selves and our presence becomes lovely, Elaine, the orchestrator of the internal negotiation. So it's a highly dynamic, here we've got this dynamic equilibrium, the middle again. Cooperation and collaboration. You see where I'm going with this in respect of, if we can establish a sound harmony and a sound foundation within our being of cooperation, collaboration, with our internal, our physical body community, the ripple effect of that as it moves out into the world is far greater, rather than if we were harboring areas of unacknowledged and unaware conflict. Okay, so it's dynamic and complex ecosystem, not just the gut. It supports, our microbiome supports the production of proteins, hormones, some vitamins, elimination of toxins, regulation of immune response. It influences insulin sensitivity, helps to balance our insulin cycles, neurotransmitter function, especially dopamine and serotonin, so it can have an impact on our moods. And they also appear to talk or communicate with the vagus nerve, which is probably one of the most important nerves in the body, and it actually does connect the brain and the gut. So really vital in respect of those levels of communication. It affects brain and mood. So if we have lost some of the diversity of our healthy microbiome, that can also impact on the way that we feel and our emotions. And that can have a steamrolling, spiraling effect. It is affected by lifestyle, foods, environmental toxins, antibiotics, which we know, I mean, that's pretty standard. Again, it's not just the gut, it's the whole of our body. Emotional stress, amount of sleep, etc. There are approximately 10 trillion cells in our microbiome within our body, in the gut, the mouth, the skin, the organs, the lungs, and the perineum. Huge, huge numbers to consider. It's from bacteria in our gut to the mites on our skin. There we have, from scientific investigation, this whole research into the microbiome, just by the way, has been capturing people's attention just Probably more, especially in the last 5 to 10 years only. As people are diving deeper and beginning to understand the extent of this symbiotic relationship within our bodies. So there is a far lower diversity of microbial species in our modern cultures as compared to indigenous peoples and what they call the ancestral biome. So we have, purely because of our lifestyles and modern foods and the environment that we are in, have actually reduced the number of species. So the ability of our bodies to function optimally is struggling because we don't have all of the help and support that we have been used to. And it's not just about, sort of eating vegan or fruits and vegetables or going organic. It's kind of a much broader context and concept than that, because we need to help to restore our digestive systems. And that takes me back, our entire digestive system, not just the gut. And this is how we digest information, how we digest light. So there can be times where we have too much light because we're unable to digest the information. And sometimes we forget about that. We just go more light, more light, more light. And our bodies actually are not equipped physically to deal with it as a consequence of this reduction in diversity. So it's really interesting. Katie says, anything we cast as something to be shunned cannot be owned by us. Yeah. Irrationally, we need to admit and embrace all for this reclaimed foundational optimal equilibrium, sort of no mud, no lotus. Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Katie. How we digest light and dark. That's a beautiful way of putting it. Thank you so much. Lovely, lovely words. And very, very relevant. Yeah. So it's digesting everything, digesting life's experience, not only digesting and taking the nutrients from our food, it's how we digest and integrate the light and these incoming energies much, much more, efficiently, which takes us back to, if those of you who took part in last month's one, go back to that yin yang food dietary influence, because it goes back to a lot of that a lot of the incoming light is feminine in nature, so we need more yang energy within our bodies and this microbiome in order to fully digest and integrate the actions of this light and the information in this light that we are taking in. So I'd never before considered, and I don't know about you guys, I'd never before considered that we may at times have too much light. And we are unable to actually deal with it. So this microbiome is absolutely vital for all of that. It's a much, much bigger picture. So epigenetics, as we know, influences the expression of the microbiome genes as well. So that is epigenetics factors that are external to the gene, the genome itself, which is, sort of the modern science, our thoughts, our words, environmental toxins and influences, and so on. So the microbiome impacts us physically, vibrationally, and at the level of light and quantum reality. And White Star said, yes, a consideration, too much light. How many times do we send energy to someone who is actually having an energetic overdose? Absolutely. Without asking the question, without considering it. And I'm so grateful to have been taken down this track, because it just really supports that awareness and understanding at a much broader level, which is rather fascinating. And this sending, light to somebody who's having an energetic overdose, it does remind me of very often when I've done remote sessions, when I've connected with people who are undergoing, for instance, a Kundalini experience, or they are in the middle of extreme downloads, and I've been told to back off. that I was only allowed to do certain things that would enable them to begin the process of integration, and I could not go in and do any deeper work until such time as that organic process had actually been completed. So it's a very interesting concept for us to consider. Elaine, that's a lovely comment. Maybe we're feeling better in the last 2 days because the eclipse shut out light partially, like a reset. What a powerful thought. What a powerful thought. So how do you preface your intent? You mean when I'm doing remotes? When I'm actually doing remotes, my intent is always higher self, assist me to support this individual in a way that is appropriate and perfect for them in this moment. So whatever it might be. So it's called a diamond alignment, but I listen and I trust. And if I'm told to back off, and usually when I ask the question, because I don't, as you guys know, I don't know anything about the individuals when I go in and I do the remotes. I don't usually ask questions. I don't have a lot of that focus. That is the broad intent that I'm set. And always when I go back to them and I'll say, have you had XYZ been happening to you recently, which is what I was seeing, they'll always reply in the affirmative, which just qualifies why I get told no. Just back off, go back again in 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time or whatever it might be. Anyway, so yes, this concept of too much light and prefacing our intent whenever we do healing work. What have we got here? Yeah, 90% of gene expression or the human genome is microbes. Okay, so 90% of how genes are expressed within our body is contributed by the actions and the activities of the microbiome. So some of the things that can actually happen if this is out of balance, and this is specifically related to the gut health, so this is the stomach and all of the digestive system, is that we can experience inflammation, which can lead to weight gain, asthma and allergies, autoimmune diseases, hay fever, that kind of thing, arthritis, metabolic bone disease, skin problems, rosacea and eczema, mood disorders, cognitive decline, e.g. Alzheimer's, and definitely lots of cancers. So taking care of and building an energetic space to co-create with that community is really, really important for our health in many ways. So let's just have a look here. Our obsession with being germ-free as a culture has had the unintended consequence of interfering with our ability to share our space with microbes that serve us, and to trust that those microbes that serve us, if we work with them, they grant us, and they can, the superhuman capacity and capability of healthy immune systems that can ward off pathogens. So it is this conflict from an energetic perspective, which has almost seen the rise of superbugs in our environment, which raises the level of fear, which further perpetuates the genetic mutations, and the encapsulation of that fear through antibiotic-resistant superbugs. So it's our fear and that internal conflict itself which is giving rise to this externally. Rather than thinking of our bodies as a battlefield, i.e. fighting off bad germs, humans and microbes must now be seen as a co-evolved system for the mutual benefit of both the host and the resident microbes. Health is the result of balanced harmony between the microbes and the human cells. So it's moving from perhaps relating to microbes as pathogens. They are not all pathogens. Relating to them as partners rather than as toxic competitors, if you like, within the same environment. So it's a very interesting consciousness perspective on all of this. This is a slide from Elsevier. It was a presentation that I actually found on YouTube, which just really gives you some indication of the progression or regression, if you like, of the number of species of microbes that have populated our physical body, that have been a part of our coexistence over many, many years. So up to 10,000 years ago, the hunter-gatherers actually had the greatest diversity of microbes in the human biome. With the advent of agriculture and the advent of farmed foods, the production of grains, etc., has been established that there was a reduction in the diversity of the human microbiome that went along with this. Furthermore, in the last couple of decades, as we started experiencing and feeding our bodies with industrial foods, we started to see a further reduction, and we've had that squeezed even further now that we have processed, sanitized foods. And we all know, many of us have actually gone through sort of dietary investigations and been prompted to adjust our diets for different reasons. But one of the reasons why we're doing it is that we're actually helping to restore this microbiome. The one way to restore this diversity going forward is a high MAC diet, which is a macrobiotic diet, and species reintroduction. So it's facilitating the reintroduction of many of those microbiome bacteria and components back to our bodies. Concurrent with all of this, what we have also seen as a contributor to the reduction of the populations that we now as a modern species live with are our modern diets. So we've spoken about that. Sanitation, which in many ways is good, but we're living in a high consciousness environment now. Whereas 200 years ago, back in the dark ages, we actually didn't have that expanded consciousness, that quantum consciousness, that understanding that our consciousness can actually change things. So sanitation and hygiene has been taken to the extreme, which has been detrimental. Antibiotics, the overuse of antibiotics, and there are still people who the slightest sign of any kind of not feeling well insist on taking antibiotics to their detriment. And C-sections and formula feeding of children, because of the high, it's interesting this. One of the things that I found related to birthing methods was that the child, the newborn, as it comes through the birth canal, is actually populated with some of the microbiome through the perineum and from the mother. So this population is a natural part of a natural birthing process. When we extract the baby through C-section and then feed it formula, so it's not just through the birth canal, it's then the colostrum and the natural milk, which then also passes on more of the microbiome and supports the development of a healthy gut and a healthy system. With the replacement of that with formula and C-sections, it actually diminishes the impact within that baby's body and can lead to various cognitive and other health issues. So it's something worth considering. There are obviously cases where this is absolutely necessary for safety. So I think, we need to be aware as well that we don't begin to establish judgments on this. It's really just having an awareness so that if we have to experience one of these things, we can instigate remedial steps, take remedial steps to actually help to restore the natural flora. So consider how our belief structure of war, separation, and homogeneity is applied in other aspects of our lives. Where do we still experience this belief in separation? I know that none of us here actually believe in war. We're certainly sort of on the peace path, but what of the ancestral beliefs around that might we have inherited that could be contributing? Example, in politics, we draw national boundaries. Patriotism is an us and them. It's establishing a boundary. And fight over immigration. We monocrop ideas as much as we do our agriculture in a fictitious quest for purity. In reality, on a biological level, we aren't even purely human. Our conquest of nature over the centuries has revolved around our fear and inability to seek greater harmony with our environment and to embrace the biodiverse web of life. From micro to macro, the well-being of our inner community has huge implications that ripple out into the broader ecosystem. Think quantum field. So that reharmonization is so important in respect of the impact that that has and our impact and our ability to be able to create harmonious communities externally. So it really is, sort of taking that concept to a deeper level. We, as human beings, are a web of interconnected organisms. We are an organism within a larger organism called planet Earth, in a larger organism which we know as the solar system, a larger organism we know as the Milky Way galaxy, as part of a larger organism as a supercluster, and. Having a good relationship with our internal and external communities requires mindfulness, awareness, and health choices. Oh, that's interesting. Katie's just said, I was cesarean born and formula fed. Realize the essential nature to reestablish natural equilibrium. My 3 natural reharmonization internally. Pivoted. 3 children as well. Oh, your 3 children were natural. Very interesting. Thank you, Katie, for that contribution. And I think that's the beauty of it, is that when we have that awareness, we can actually work in a very different way. So we're at the very beginning of being able to comprehend the magnificence that life is within this biologically diverse realm that we inhabit. So our presence, our essence, our spirit inhabits this diverse body. Keep learning, growing, talking with friends, and raising the overall vibe. Be good to your microbes, and they will be good to you. So talk to them as much as you talk to your own cells. Extend gratitude towards them as much as you extend gratitude to the cells in your body. So it just expands that idea in a very, very large way. And I just had to give that little picture because I thought that was delightful. How often do we have parents these days who just everything has to be sanitized and pure and okay. So yeah, that's wonderful. Now, there are 2 things that I'm going to work with in this process. So I'm going to make you aware of it before we go in, okay? And it's very interesting because it came into my awareness 3 times today as confirmation, and I went, okay, this is where I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. So it's not something that I usually talk about or have spoken about with many people. How many of you have I shared with that some of my experiences in the development of the Diamond Light Grid work and all that I've actually been learning have actually been contributed to and supported by other dimensional beings that I know as the mantids, or you might know of as the mantids. Are any of you familiar with that? So I did say this was probably going to be a bit of a masterclass and a slightly longer thing. Say it again. Then I don't think I've spoken to you about it, if that's the case. Familiar, but don't think it was from you. Okay, so part of the work that I do and the way that I've been guided to work in a number of ways with the Diamond Light Grid was as a consequence of the guidance of a group of other dimensional beings called the mantids. They appear as looking like praying mantises. Okay, are you with me now? They look like sort of huge 8-foot tall praying mantises. So I hope that doesn't freak you out, because we're going to work with them today. Thank you, Natalie. Natalie says awesome. Okay, that's fantastic. Oh, awesome, awesome. Praying mantises are my favorite. Yes, Robin says I love it. Yeah, okay. And they already made their presence known when I was sitting outside, going, okay, all right, yeah, this I've got the message. White Star says I'm in. So don't freak out, the rest of you. It's actually quite safe. But I want to tell you just a little story, which was really really an eye opener for me, and it was one of the deep teachings that I actually got from them. So yeah, I'm really stepping outside of my comfort zone. Oh, lovely. I love that. Elaine says they communicate with me brain to brain. They are my little ET friends. They're actually master healers. They are, if you like, medical professionals. They are, I almost call them like medical engineers. So the first time that they ever appeared to me, I was doing a remote session with somebody. And it was a first in a number of ways, because when I tuned into this woman doing remote diamond work, what I could see very, very clearly were the only way I can describe them, they were extra dimensional parasitic worms, parasites, but they were other dimensional. So they were not physical parasites, although I have an idea that parasites in our physical body could be contributed to by these extra dimensional parasites. And that's where we kind of have openings in our being. And I looked at these, and I was like really quite shocked, because it was the first time I'd ever seen anything like it. And I kind of went into a bit of a panic, and I kind of went, what am I supposed to do with these? And what appeared in my space were these manted beings, two huge, and they communicated telepathically. I could hear clicking. So I didn't understand what they were saying in that sense, but the telepathic communication was actually very clear. And my first thought when I saw them was, I didn't ask you to be here. So I came out of the session. It was one of those where I said, I didn't ask for this. I came out of the session, reset the space, and went back in again. And they were still there looking at me very patiently, going, oh, it's kind of like rolling their eyes and going, for heaven's sake, just get with the program. They're sort of quite serious. And it was watch and learn. Watch and learn. We're going to show you what you need to do in respect of working with these parasites, these energetic parasites. And they did, which was fascinating for me, because when I spoke to the client later, this was one of the ones that where I actually phoned the client straight after the session. It was really hysterical, because I was thinking, I don't know how I'm going to tell her this. First of all, you've got other dimensional parasites in your body, and secondly, they were these tall 8-foot insectoid beings that showed me how to get rid of them. So I'm going to share that information with you. And she just said on the phone, oh no, I know about those worms. I said, what do you mean? She said, I've seen them inside of me, and I didn't know what they were. So I went, wow, there's lesson number 1 in trust. And she said, and the second thing is, I heard those beings. I heard them. I heard the clicking, and I knew that they were there, and I knew that they were helping, and I wasn't afraid at all. And I just went, wow, there's a big, big lesson in trust. And it's through these beings that I also was shown to not cut cords. And that's something that a few of you know and are familiar with. And I was shown how to transmute the cords by going into the core or the roots of the cords, and to transmute the energy in the cord, but don't ever cut cords. That was their message. So anyway, so they started appearing today, and I thought, oh, well, how interesting, because we're really dealing with the microbiome. We want to get rid of any energetic parasites that may be in our body. So we're going to ask these beings to support us with that, to help to restore harmony. And then we're going to help to balance the flow of light in our bodies. And we're going to help to restore a harmony and equilibrium within our being, which will support the microbiome in flourishing. So how does that sound to you? So it really is kind of going out of the box, And I thought I'd explain to you before taking you into the process and surprising you with these like very tall, very tall beings. Good idea to not tell people about your mantis friends, otherwise they lock you up and throw away the key. Yeah, well, that's I don't. Adilma says, I wonder if I'm already working with them since I never catch a cold. That's interesting, Adilma. Thank you for sharing. I do catch the odd colds, but I do know that when I get a cold, I welcome it. So I don't fight it. I actually just support my body in working with it because I know that it's like rebooting my immune system, testing my immune system. But yeah, it could be if you have a sense that they're around. Oh, that's wonderful. Elaine says, we love your out of the box. Woo woo. Yeah, it is. So there's probably a few more out of the box things to come. And I think the big thing for me is it's one thing for me testing and doing this with a community. It's another to go out there in the broader sense and to share that in the broader environment. So yeah, I guess it's actually going to be interesting. So Jan says, I recently saw a video of a beautiful orchid praying mantis. Oh, beautiful. Love this idea you're sharing. Fantastic. So yes, and the mantids they're not always there, which is what's interested me, that they've popped back in again today in preparation for our gathering and for this transmission. So very, very interesting for me that they have popped in. Time to step into new thing. Yeah, that's exactly it, Robin. So I have to walk the talk. Natalie says, I had praying mantises draw my attention in a children's book the day before yesterday as well. You see, isn't that interesting? Yeah, they've been popping up. Orchid versus light. 10. Yeah, my first experience of, one of my first experiences of the fascinating insects of Africa when we moved over there when I was 11 was a praying mantis. And I was absolutely taken to it. I think I stood there and watched it on the door for like 10 minutes because it was just such an unusual insect. We don't get praying mantises in the UK. Or if we do, I've never seen them. But certainly in Africa, you know, it's almost a common sight. So it's very interesting that they have appeared. And yes, they are master beings. They tend to be, and I'll just tell you this, they tend to be almost neutral or non-emotional in their approach. So the first time I actually saw them, it's just they're like no nonsense. So the emotions don't actually come into it. But they are, in fact, hugely compassionate beings. We just experience the extension of that compassion in a different way, and they are here to support us. So, without further ado, Elaine says, whenever they come visit me, I feel so honored. Yeah, that's exactly it. And there's been a lot of misinformation put out there about the extra dimensional beings that we know as the mantids. So, White Star says, of course you would have a praying mantis guide with your zoological academic background. Yeah, isn't that interesting that they actually popped up in my sort of affiliation with the white animals? For those of you that don't know, my degree originally was botany and zoology. And I just absolutely loved it. So yes, it's interesting that they actually popped in as one of my guides, these mantid beings. And that the white animals certainly talk to. Perfect, Totem. Okay, everybody. So if you're ready for a slightly different adventure, then let's see where this journey takes us as we help to restore inner harmony. Hang on, there's the light code. That's the harmony light code. It's the one that just had to be for today. Looks absolutely beautiful with the backdrop against the diamond. You've got your core essence holding together. If I can just tell you, my original descriptive term for this light code was interdependence. And that describes the symbiotic relationship that we have internally with all aspects of our biome. So you can see that they're not merged. They operate as independent communities, but fully dependent within a harmonized environment on each other for stability. I love that. White Star says, looks like the two hands of the mantis praying. Oh, that's amazing. I mean, I certainly didn't see that. But yeah, we see all sorts of different things that emerge through the light codes. I love that. So, yes, interdependence was my original word for this code. But when I presented it to people, they all said, what does that mean? And so rather than going through long explanations, I renamed it harmony because that's easier to understand because that is, holding things in balanced harmony. But there you have it. Okay. So if you guys can just visualize the light code and allow your body to open to its essence, to its energy, to its message, to its information. Elaine, if I can just tell you, she says the red lines confuse me. One might consider this the extension of a sphere, an infinite sphere. So it's kind of like this is the boundary of the sphere or ecosystem that is represented by one polarity. This is the boundary of the sphere that represents the other polarity, and it is our higher self presence that actually holds them or magnetizes them, enabling those boundaries to be crossed so that there is a sharing and a balance that moves between the two. Figure eight. Does that make sense? Yeah? Yeah, you guys have got it. Super. So that's it. Because if you look at the flower of life and the ultimate pattern that makes up creation, they are all spheres. And each of those spheres is a container within itself, is an infinity within itself. And yet each of those spheres actually shares and overlaps its information with others. So that's really what that represents. It's almost like two infinities, two polarities actually coming together, mediated through the core aspect of our presence and essence. Yep. Okay. So, all right, everyone, if you've actually got that, there you go, Elaine, whichever way you want to read it, because that's how the codes communicate, because they're going to communicate at a level in a way that makes sense for you. So my interpretation is simply my interpretation. Makes me think now of the blood vessels sharing the diffusion. Yes, absolutely. Much more to explore on this topic, but let's get through today's process. We will continue with some more insightful information in our next gathering on the 22nd. So thank you for staying the course with all of this information. Okay, now you're seeing it, Elaine, like the villa in the intestines, the blue lines. There you go. Many different ways to actually see this, the passing of things through the membranes. So interdependence, harmony between the two spheres, two components, two aspects. Okay, so close your eyes. And let's just begin by taking a long, slow, deep breath in as we rest and surrender into the temple of our physical body. Deep breath in, and as you breathe out, relax your shoulders. Allow the thoughts to simply float like clouds across the surface of your brain. Out. Leaving behind the stillness of a clear blue sky. Just flow. Feel and be aware of your body softening and flowing. Softening as you breathe in and breathe out. from any areas of tension, just allowing yourself to let go. Be gentle. Feel your breath almost like a wave, breathing in microbes along with the oxygen from the air into your lungs. Being passed from there, and the little microbes in your lungs actually assist in the transportation of that oxygen across the working infrastructure of millions of molecules into your blood. And as you witness this beginning to take place within your body, there is a smile that begins to form inside, a heart expansion as you begin to experience and to broadcast gratitude to this unacknowledged community that supports your every breath as a living of multiple organisms. See that smile form on your heart, broadcasting into your lungs. And in this quiet space, just observe what happens with those bacteria when you extend that smile and your gratitude towards them. Does their activity become more efficient or decline? What are they doing? And take that smile that is existing and emanating from your heart and send it out into your skin, saying thank you. Thank you for these communities that enable and facilitate the repair of your skin, that facilitate the sloughing of the old skin, like the shedding of the skin of the snake, so that you can be reborn. And as you watch that smile, that inner smile and those thoughts of gratitude simply flowing along your arms and your face, across your scalp, be aware of these living communities of organisms that support the well-being of your physical boundary, your physical container. The largest elimination organ of the body is the skin. So all of the toxins that are excreted through your skin from your body are transformed and transmuted and assisted in their release and on their way by all of these microbes, amazing invisible beings to the naked eye, and yet they are part of you. Waves of gratitude down your body, across your skin. And along with those waves of gratitude and then the enhanced activity of these microbes, you witness any detrimental microbes just almost being blown away For this is not their community. There are other ecosystems that are perfect for them. And you wish them well on their way, that they find their perfect ecosystem, whether it be with insects and plants, animals, wherever it is perfect for them. What is perfect for you in the release of their essence from your space is perfect for them, for their continuing journey. For they cannot evolve positively with you. That is not their journey. Be aware of the busyness of your space, this incredible activity that is taking place in order to sustain your every breath, your every word, your every thought, your every feeling. As you take that internal smile down through your esophagus and into your stomach, beaming at the digestive bacteria, swirling round your mouth. With the gratitude comes an essence and a feeling of joy that begins to awaken within you. As with the acknowledgement and validation, these minute microscopic beings begin to burst and bounce and increase their activity with the excitement of being acknowledged. And you will see little sparks of light beginning to emerge so that it almost feels like your entire body is digesting popping candy. For each of these living, beneficial, symbiotic colonies emit photons of light. In the same way that your DNA emits photons, so does theirs. And they're beginning to emit beautiful sparks of light down to your stomach, and from your stomach down to your intestines. The same thing. Just acknowledge as you sweep your body their presence, their gift. See where they are working so hard, where they may be feeling worn out or tired. And spend a while in these places listening to what they have to communicate to you in respect of what it is that they require of you and from you in order to restore the harmony and balance not only within their community, but the harmony and balance between you. Listen for what they have to share. Listen for what they want. For somewhere within the depths of your being, you will recognize this as a prompt or a voice from your unconscious that has perhaps been there for an extended period of time. Unheard, unacknowledged, behind a wall or a barrier. And they are so excited at being heard and acknowledged that it may sound initially like a cacophony, Allow your higher self presence to stand in the center, directing a conversation between the cells that comprise your living relationship. Just allow yourself to communicate and to establish where in your body these communications are coming from. So now take a deep breath and create around yourself your diamond. Your diamond connecting to the soul star above your head and the earth star below your feet. Centered at the very base of your spine, allowing and enabling you to connect through this vehicle to the unseen grids of creation, the grids of the planet, the grids that hold the information for all species in place, the universal diamond grids that enable us to communicate across space, time, and dimension. And moving through the universal grids is the cosmic code that we know simply as harmony. And it takes up residence in your field in 3 dimensions. Those red arcs of light surrounding your core column, the central axis of your diamond, surrounded in this pale blue, beautiful, clear light. Blue is the color of harmony, of peace, of trust, of knowing, of communication. So just allow your diamond now and your body to be infused with this beautiful sky blue color. Being aware of where in your body this is felt. Let it flow through, touching all aspects of you as those arcs hold you stable on either side of your spine and gently rotate around you. You may even get glimpses of how those arcs continue to create spheres in a 3rd-dimensional or 4-dimensional space. It's not necessary to visualize this as long as you connect with the light code itself. And in this peaceful, quiet, calm, trusting space, we invite in the presence and the support of the extra dimensional praying mantis beings, the mantids as we might know them, these master engineers of light, these medical technicians, extra dimensional doctors, if you like. Just be aware of how they appear to you and allow them to speak mind to mind with you. We welcome their guidance and assistance into our space as beings and contributors to the well-being, upliftment, and evolution of humanity, so that we may be of greater service to the whole. And there is a mutual honoring of you and them in this space. They are here to assist. So let's ask them first to scan our bodies, to scan within the communities that make up this organism that we know as our physical living temple. Allow them to scan and to locate any areas where there may be intrusions by parasitic energies that have been preying on our energy system or our physical body. You may feel this scan as a wave of light from the head down to the feet. Be aware of the compassionate energy which these beings share. And as your field is lit up, through this scan, allow them to show you or to direct you to areas of your body and your being where there may be extra dimensional parasites that have made their way through unknown openings in your energy field. There is nothing to fear, for they are here to support the realignment of your energy fields, the cohesion of your energy bodies in your light body, and the restoration of harmony in order for you to function optimally. So allow them now to direct you or to show you where in your body or your being these intruders may have taken up residence without your awareness. And then they ask your permission to support you through the transformation of this energy and through restoring the integrity of your light body fields and grids. And very gently, with fingers that are extensions of pure light, they reach into the areas in your body that have opened up to allow these negative thought forms in from other dimensions. It's like a mini black hole. And with their expert knowledge and awareness of working with energies, their light follows through to the source of these parasites or intruders that serve only to drain your light or your energy. And it holds the space open for these beings to return to their source. And as soon as these are cleared from your field, they weave together a closure, a doorway of light beyond which nothing that is not in harmony with these frequencies can penetrate. Closing those doorways, but opening you up to more of your potential. Allow them to continue scanning your body and repeating this process as often as is necessary in order to clear these parasites. All the while they gently communicate with you with deep compassion and understanding and honoring for the work that you do in physical form. And once these beings, these magnificent assistants and helpers, have completed this stage of the process, they step back and allow you to begin to integrate these reformed spaces within your body, adding light and life to the natural biome, supplying them with energetic input so that their efficiency is increased and resistances are dropped, reduced. And these mantled medical professionals now tune in to your meridian system, highlighting this among the grids that make up your light body. Allow them to create a projection so that you can see and witness your own meridian system and take a look at where the light may be flowing freely. For when we do the diamond light grid work, each of the fibers of your fully formed diamond light grid intersects with your meridians. So if your meridians are not flowing well and functioning healthily, that light can become trapped, absorbed, stuck, undigested. So allow them to show you now where the meridians within your being have become diminished or where they glow too brightly out of balance. You don't need to understand the meridian system. Just let them show you, just have a feeling for what it is and which area of the body you may be experiencing the imbalance. And then very gently, again, the supportive being reaches out to each of the points of your meridian system represented on your fingers and your toes, and actually begins to either pulse or draw, push or pull energy through the meridian system in order to bring about a harmonized flow and balance. There may also be points on the head that run through the scalp that he chooses to touch. Just be witness to the process. Be aware of your body breathing deeply, loosening as the flow through your meridians is restored, and it awakens and begins to awaken the seeds of your sacred journey, of your soul's journey within you. And once this flow has been restored, these magnificent beings now gift you into your energy field the blueprints of the evolved microbes that will support the efficiency of your developing body in reharmonizing with your body of light. These blueprints will attract into your sphere, whether through food, through nutrients, through your exposure to the environment, will attract in those microbes that are evolving within the microbiome in order to support the evolving human. Allow these energetic blueprints to be woven into your field. Notice where they are placed, which organs require upgrade and upgraded residence. And now finally, allow these magnificent helpers and assistants to provide you personally with whatever else you require in order to assist the optimum functioning of your physical form in order to embody and embed your presence, to fully express who you are. These are expert psychic surgeons. communicate with them, extend your request, and they will inform you or let you know whether it's appropriate at this time or if there's anything that you need in order to realign first. And any other information that they might have about your particular role, your particular journey. And as you take a deep breath in now, you're aware once more of the harmony light code circulating around your core. And through the center part of the light code, the light that is extending down is like a laser. The clarity and the intensity of that light is yet brighter than before. Take your attention back to the entire community and ecosystem of microbes that are supporting your physical being, and notice now how their behavior and action and activity has been altered. So that it feels as if your entire body is like a bag of popping candy as these pixels of light are emitted through this intense activity. You feel strong, reharmonized, more whole, more integrated. And your manted assistant or helper reaches out and with one extended finger projects a beam of light through the center of your forehead into your third eye. And like a laser, it scrapes away any residues of toxins from the surface of your third eye, clearing, helping you to develop deeper, more profound insight, a more profound ability to connect with, to negotiate, to communicate with, and to establish greater harmony within your body, to communicate with the extra dimensional realms and hear the information that is provided to you and for you to support your soul's journey. Extend your thanks and gratitude to your etheric doctor, your extra dimensional doctor, healer, medical professional, and allow him to give you a signal or a name or a concept or an image that will enable you to communicate with him at any point that you require further assistance. And as he bows down before you in gratitude for your invitation, you notice that there is a brilliant diamond on his forehead, sparkling with light. And if they could smile, you would see them smile, but you can feel the smile and the honoring that is extended and that emanates out like a field of compassion from this being. Take a deep breath in. And breathe out. As the harmony code now slows down its spinning within your field, comes to a stop. You are aware that you feel calm and peaceful, held in the center, deep in the core of your being, and that all around you, this sharing and communicating within the organism that is you, as being harmonized like threads of light being woven between each community. Within every organ, within every part of your being, there's a natural harmony being rewoven from the inside out. Take a deep breath in as you prepare to return to waking consciousness. And when you are ready, another deep breath in and breathe out. And welcome back. And how are you doing, everyone? Sorry, that was so much happened. Oh, good. That sounds good. I know this was a pretty long session this evening and different. But that image of popping candy, I don't know how you guys experienced it, but that was just what I was feeling and seeing was that these elements of the microbiome were just so excited at being acknowledged and recognized and that they just became almost hyperactive and all of the light was like popping. That's the only way I can describe it. Hi, Pauline. Lovely to see you. Did you get this from the beginning? It's different. And how did you experience? Atilma, it's interesting. As I first looked at the symbol, there was a choking sensation in my throat. Oh, how interesting. Popping candy was perfect. Mantis vibrations so high that I kind of checked out. Yeah. So Pauline didn't quite make it from the beginning. That's okay. You'll get the recording. Light code turned into a stargate for me at the end. And yes, the micro entities were so happy they were recognized. Yep. That's absolutely what I was getting. Sort of this reharmonization, difficulty swallowing. That's Adilma. Very interesting, Adilma, because I do feel some of that at the moment. So I think there's some adjustment happening in the throat. Go with it. Allow it to actually work its way through. Natalie says, I've been struggling with figuring out how to ground in all this new light I've been holding and was shown I had a fly-like looking creature in my root chakra. Oh, isn't that interesting? And I've always had a deep feeling of distaste for flies. And of course, what do? You know, we associate flies with rotting meat and maggots, you know, sort of decay, if you like. So very interesting. Was that element or aspect successfully transmuted, shifted? These yeah, saw it fly away. Oh, that's brilliant. These manta beings are really very good at this. If we allow them. I can also feel, I was aware of that, Adilma says in the throat, a tightness in the throat, as well as in the upper chest area. So that's interesting. What was it? Oh, the other, yeah, that was the thing about the diamond on their forehead. I actually saw that the minute they were called in, and I've never seen them with a diamond on them before. Robin says the red lines of the light code immediately showed that it represented a tilt in the axis of the spinning sphere, similar to the Earth tilt. Oh, that's interesting. Is that then the restoration of the energetic spin, if you like, a reduction of that wobble? Each experience just so different. Okay, the rest of you back? Oh, we got a couple of comments coming in just to share them with everyone who's going to get the recording. You know, I think when we have adjustments at this level, they actually do tend to take place over a period of time as we get, you know, and part of those adjustments will be White Star says, was told that I understand well the power of communicating to the microbiome, the responsibility and spiritual discernment required. Oh, beautiful, very powerful, White Star. Thank you for sharing that. Um, that yes, the restoration and the integration of this will take a bit of time, but we will be directed through activities to whatever we need in order to restore and continue building the internal relationship so that we have a more efficient community. Jan says, I'm back, but boy, was I gone. I'll be sure to listen to the recording. Wonderful, Jan. Thank you for staying with us. I know it's been quite a long session today. Elaine says, Mantis etched an hourglass diamond, like two diamonds with touching in the middle. Oh, yes. And my third eye clear hourglass image also relates to Wizard of Oz. Oh, of course. So you got that analogy again. Much more activity in balancing the feminine side of the body. Oh, interesting. I'm kind of feeling it on the right side, which is the masculine. So I can feel that more prominently at the moment. So I think this is taking place at many levels. But I'd be very interested to again, between now and the next time we gather, to hear from you guys whether you have unexpected experiences with the mantis, whether they pop up in unexpected ways through dreams. Cynthia says, I felt the youthfulness of it all and feel re-energized. That's beautiful because it is, you know, the re-euthanizing of our being. And the microbiome is vital for that, for taking us forward. So yeah. And I find it fascinating, I must just say to you guys, that really what sort of prompted this journey in the beginning and this whole looking into the spiritual aspects of the nutrition was my knee. because I started having problems and inflammation, arthritic inflammation in my knee, almost a year ago. It's less than a year ago, and recent changes through this enhancing awareness has just made all the difference in the world. So it's fascinating me to work in a different way and to work at this level. So White Star says we must not only ask but command the end result desired within the context of understanding that we cause no harm to ourselves or to any other living thing internally or externally, and that we allow the unfolding in the most efficient time frame. Thank you for that, White Star. Beautiful. Well said. And then Elaine says, Mantis overlaid a template to correct the one I had, like focusing a microscope. My dolphin card said mirroring this morning. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, and look at this code. That's like absolutely mirroring also. There's a mirroring concept in there. The vibration of what we put out, we actually receive. So that's really, really well said. And I think some beautiful support from the community as well as from the extra dimensional community. So I hope that really sets you on your way with this new journey, with new awareness, with new understanding, with a new tool, a new ability to relate to yourself in a much more refined and expanded way, because that was my intention. And remember, go back to the recording and remember the card that was drawn. Where are you being called to journey to? And wherever you journey, wherever you are called, is done in a cohesive flow. Elaine says, I saw all the group as golden rings up and down a tree like an avatar. Oh, that's wonderful. As in the diamond group. Well, that is. And remember, you know, the mother tree, I was told to go to Egypt. Ah, that's interesting. Very, very interesting. Take note, because those will be, I think you needed to take the diamond light and your energy to Egypt. But there could also be something that really awakens for you deeply within through that process, because there are many ancient temples and lineages represented in Egypt. And don't forget that Egypt is on the Nilotic Meridian, which connects all the way down through Africa to those ancient, ancient sites. There is a pulse that runs through the entire continent of Africa that is also manifest in Egypt, and Nile has Al Mud. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Very, very interesting. So we did the White Lion Sanctuary in South Africa, which is on the Nilotic Meridian, which feeds up into Egypt from the south of the continent all the way up to the north. It's on the exact meridian. That's where Robin and I were. So maybe that's also, Natalie, that's your role. And White Star. All three of us are at the White Lion Sanctuary. We have a trinity that's actually holding that. So maybe there's another role that some of you have to play in respect of anchoring that energy through the meridian in Egypt. Yeah, wasn't it just? Start in Egypt and then come down to South Africa, Natalie, and come and spend some time in the southern part of the line. Timing just wasn't right. Yeah. I had such a strong feeling to go with you. The timing just wasn't right. Yeah, no, the timing will be perfect. We're having another one next year in March, so save the dates. White Star's coming again, and we're gonna have the White Lions on, and we're gonna try and get into Zimbabwe, to the sacred sites in Zimbabwe too, the golden sites. So yes, another one coming up. It's going to be exactly what it needs to be. So without further ado, thank you all for being with us for this length of time. I know that it's been way longer than normal. I did say it was going to be more akin to a bit of a masterclass rather than just a process. So I really hope that that has given you something valuable that you can take away with, that you can integrate with your own understanding and as part of your being, that it becomes part of your journey forward with a great deal of efficiency, light, and power. So thank you, thank you. Thanks, Pauline. Thank you to all. I'll get the recording out as soon as possible. I love you. Um, Thank you for sharing enlightening info. Thank you, Jen. So lovely that you've actually been here, and I look forward to if you can share the next one live with us too. We have a wonderful, beautifully supportive community. Thank you all. Thank you all. Much, much love. I'm going to stop the recording.